I love VHS tapes. And more specifically, Pixar VHS tapes. My love for them never changed despite one incident. It all started when I heard the doorbell ringing, so I answered the door and found a package on my doorstep. I took it inside and opened it. It was the Monsters Inc 2002 VHS tape. I was confused because I already have that VHS tape, but then something else caught my attention. I saw beneath the title the words alternate ending. Curious, I made myself popcorn and put the tape in my VCR. It started off rather normally, showing the previews for Beauty and the Beast Platinum Edition, Lilo and Stitch, Inspector Gadget 2, and Treasure Planet. It wasn't until the Finding Nemo teaser trailer that things started going bizarre. Marlin and Dory seemed depressed instead of how they normally were. The premiering after the movie bumper was also weird, because the announcer spoke in a monotone voice instead of his usual enthusiastic tone. And then the most unsettling part came, when the feature presentation screen appeared, instead of saying, "And now, our feature presentation." The announcer instead said in a distressed voice, "Please, take this tape out right now and destroy it. You don't want to see what's awaiting you." I felt unnerved, but I decided to continue watching anyway. The For the Birds Pixar short and the full screen format disclaimer were normal, but then the THX logo appeared. Instead of holding the usual Moo can, Tex, the robot mascot, was holding a can with a picture of Boo on it. I was baffled, but I didn't let it bother me that much. Until he plugged the can into the logo and gave it a shake. Instead of the cows mooing like you would normally expect, it was the sound of Boo screaming and crying. Tex seemed distressed by this. Then the screaming started getting more piercing and realistic sounding. Tex covered his ears, before he had enough, pulled out a hammer, and destroyed the can. Afterwards, he flew off crying as the black screen came down with the words "Tex needs to take a break." The movie started off normally, until it got to the part where Boo was at the mercy of the scream extractor. Instead of getting saved by Sully in the nick of time, the vacuum-like mask clamped over her mouth and sucked out her screams and breath. Her muffled screams were horrible to listen to. But the worst part was when Sully bursted into the room and destroyed the machine. Boo was slumped on the chair, dead, with her skin pale, her lips swollen, and her eyes bulging out of their sockets. I almost threw up at that sight. Sully then flew into a rage, snapped Randall's neck, sent Fungus running, and cornered Mr. Waternus. As the screen faded to black, the sound of Mr. Waternus screaming in terror was heard, followed by a sickening crunch. Instead of the outtakes and the "put that thing back where it came from" play, the end credits scrolled over a plain, black background as a distorted version of "If I Didn't Have You" played. Mike's new car came on afterwards, except Mike and Sully were depressed because they couldn't save Boo in time, and the short ended with Mike and Sully driving the car off-screen, when we hear a loud crash and pan to the area where they drove off to reveal Mike and Sully's charred corpses laying in the wreckage. Then the flick's Funfair promo came on, except this time, the colors were muted and the narrator was crying as he promoted the attraction. After the tape ended, I immediately took it out of the VCR, destroyed it, threw it in the trash, and watched my original Monsters Inc VHS tape in order to keep my mind off of it, hoping to forget about it for as long as I live.